Yeah, well, Larry, after considerable time and discussion, Brett and I put together the truck specs that we talked about, and we've set bid dates, and I need to get your signatures. So we published that. The bid date will be 9 o'clock on October 22nd. And I mentioned this before, but there'll be a bit of a tandem and a tri-axle. And what we're looking at on the tandem is we're also getting an option for what's called an underbelly plow, what we've never had before. That would be really nice to have in certain situations. The quandary we're in, we're also getting a tri-axle, and once we get the bids, we'll figure out and come back and figure out which way we're going to do it. You can't put a belly plow with a tri-axle, you have enough room. Tri-axle would be nice to have. Tri-axle because Paul today was talking us down every time you make a trip or even all that. So there'll be a trade-off there sometime. We just have to figure all that out once we get the pricing back. So here's your signatures.
Did you mark off the cat trucks as an option?
Yes, the cat trucks, we're going to actually make them national. It's not cat, it's national. The big thing there is the frame is made. We look a little hard, just to know where it is to make frame extension for the front lines. So, we sort of found out that anyway, you're not just part of the frames, you have to make so.
We didn't do that when we were here before. Okay, we need a motion to set a bid date. It's October 22nd.
I'll make a motion that we set the bid date for the highway department trucks for October 22nd, 2012 at 9 a.m.
We have a motion second on the floor to set bid dates for 2 new trucks for the highway department for October 22nd at 9 a.m. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Okay. I have a permit, I don't know, where to field time in, 500 west.
Big time.
7 foot deep, what size tile is probably.
For a field tile roughly 800 feet north of 300 south on 500 west.
Sorry. We have a motion second on the floor to grant permit 12-027 to Alan Leon there for the road out on 500 west. Just north of 300 south. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
That's all I have, unless you have some information.
Thanks, Darren.
Real simple, we got, on Bridge 66 there on the county line that we replaced the superstructure on. Shannon Construction was out there last week doing some work on the wing walls and stuff, so that's being completed, but that's being paid for completely by Addison County, so, doing a great job on that work. Larry and I also met with, the Madison County engineer to look at the structure again on the county line, just north of 200, yeah, just north of 200. And most likely we'll size it and everything, and then we'll buy the pipe. It's probably going to try to get away with one large pipe, but I think Madison County will pay to install it. They'll have to hand it construction to not do that as well. So that's going to be a significant savings for the county as well. So that's really it. Everything else just continues to move on. And so I haven't heard anything from my end on the parking lot or anything else. I'm just really good. So I did get a call from them last week that was unrelated to any questions for me?
Increased Schulerberg interview. About that. The landfill, this ground for landfill.
Yeah.
Yes, we're very interested.
Okay, yes. That's it.
Thanks, Bill. John?
Not much if you have hot water.
It's nice.
They tried to put in a big storage tank, and they couldn't get the 700-pound thing up the stairs and around the corners and up in there. So they put in a tankless water system like this. And we have hot water all the way around. They ran up 3. I think it's almost just, it does a great job. So Schroeder put that in, and everything's working good. They had to do a lot of backtracking, do some of the plumbing upstairs and stuff, to fix everything to make it work right.
Now, is that, the water heaters, are they gas fired?
And they only run when you call for it.
Sure.
That it's gonna be more efficient than what we have now, or have had, so it'll be a lot better. Other than that, not a whole lot. I guess the River Festival went okay. I guess they put a barricade wrong. And they went down, they had them in the right places where you guys approved to put them, so.
How many inmates?
39.
Yeah, we've got this, John Brook prepared for us.
Right, I need to sign with you guys.
That's right, it's the access agreement.
Do some testing on the property.
Has to do with the dry cleaners, we
Right.
need to do an environmental audit.
Right,
You need to come over on county property and do some soil testing, is that right?
yes. They think it might have leached over into the county properties.
So there's no cost to us, we're just giving them access.
Right, the drill holes and the dams, so. Yeah, I can sign that with you guys.
Yeah, and John's just saying that he would ask the board commissioner to sign this property access agreement in a public meeting and present it to the sheriff for his signature as well. Probably going to go over your signing this public access agreement. And Greg, do you have a copy of that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. It's right here. motion second to this property access agreement between John Steele, the Tipton Cleaners, and Tipton County. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
I've got a copy of it. It's very good.
So who wants to sign both of them? We all will come. Are you going to take those two or have them come up to the auditor's office?
Even if others also like money, others have stuff up there.
Good.
Mark, anything else? Anything else?
Greg, is Jackie Burns here today? Okay. We had her, she's on the agenda, is the only reason I asked.
The county council that voted at the 18th meeting of the 18th recommend favorably to the commissioners an extension of her contract to be funded out of additional appropriations from the Green and out of contractual services.
I got a question, Ashley. The newspaper reported in yesterday's paper that we have other elected volunteers that are helping out for minutes. How is that going?
I have had some assistance from Suzanne Alexander that is helping me work on distributions of field access surveys. Which has advertising for additional appropriations.
With all the extra help that we still need to have?
Yes, we do. Without doubt.
How much have the volunteers helped? Can we get more?
Well, they-
More volunteers help?
They haven't been helping us get the corrections. It's more an advisory capacity of the council meetings to assist me in looking at budget lines. The actual work, correcting errors has been done by Jack.
And my concern was that according to Jackie's calculations, it was taking her 35 hours per month. And she was only in April of 11. And so to get through this, we were looking at $50,000.
Another $50,000?
No, that's all that they were asking for, but, I mean, her own calculation, she was saying that was, previously she just had certain projects, like she just did edit, and she did this. And then she started working on just the ledger starting in January 11th. She she's only gotten to April 11th, she's only gotten 4 months. She said it took her about 35 hours per month to straighten out the ledger. So by her own calculations, so remember what happened in the summer of last year with all the claims and things. So I was even being conservative by saying 35. If you take that and you get us up to where we are now, it's over $50,000. So I've had a lot of people talk to me about this, and I know Brad made a comment in the meeting of, where is there no end? And I don't know. And even Jackie admitted she didn't know $20,000. She said, I don't know. I'm not doing it on. Because she doesn't know what she's getting into. So I did put a call to Tim Berry and ask him to come and talk to us all about this, because Tim Berry, the state auditor, asked him to come and talk to us all about this, because this is obviously an issue that is getting it to be a tremendous amount of money.
That's Tim's recommendation for us to hire her.
Well,
Hire someone like her.
right, but that was, I think, when we first hired Jackie, nobody knew what was going to, the involvement was going to be, but I think every expectation was thought that it could get done in $30,000. And now, there's no way it can get done with another 20. So,
My stance on it, if the county council recommends we do it, and they appropriate the money, I will raise report to the county council.
well, I just told everybody knows it's only going to be 4 more months. It's only going to be enough.
Well, in our meeting that Greg and I had with Jackie, as well as Bobby Duffy, Beth Roach, Jackie had gone through the end of 2011. She didn't have it complete, but she went through the whole year, and she flagged concerns that she had, so she could go back and proper work. But if it takes extra money, we're talking, what about hiring 2 employees for straight out problems? Right?
Just some information, Ms. Carter, I'm excited about this, I'm just not straightened out. To my knowledge, she's not gotten any either stuff. And we have not received disbursement of wheel tax since March. So the money is in him, for sure of that, we just have to be aware. It's not our ability to replace the fund. But Sherry's been working hard to state that kind of information, figure out what's happening. Our current budget is, that's what I was told, because we're probably we may be able to $100,000 there. That's not counting that. Counting for it. And that's not just us, that's all of it. That's overseas and well, so we're hoping like there is that.
Drainage board same way.
Yeah, I know our council set down near the bottom, there was some pressing stuff with emergency management, all these other funds near the top tier. But we keep separate books downstairs, and then we balance with the auditor, and then the auditor balances with the treasurer. I've spoken to the auditor, and I've spoken to the treasurer, and we are willing to at least, we think we can figure the drainage side out ourselves. So I just asked for a commitment, maybe from Greg or one of his staff for 2 hours, for a week, for 1 meeting, and same thing from Benita. And they agree. We think we came up with a presentation for the auditor and the treasurer, make sure they understand when we're arriving out on our numbers, the deposits that we have, that we're showing, just so we just got to make sure they feel comfortable, so then when they modify their books, they're comfortable with what we have. We'll put together a presentation, make sure everybody's comfortable. But those 2 offices are the ones we interact with, and we're lucky enough that we do see the receipts that came in or things along those lines. So we got a commitment from them. So we're planning on setting up a meeting and working on it in the next 3 to 4 weeks, just so we can drainage taken out there. So Greg's prioritizing Jackie's work schedule or whatever, however that's handled, then they can try to take that component out. I doubt she was gonna be able to reach it with 20 hours anyway. Just one less thing they had to do. That's all that's here.
Linda?
Hey, is Jackie here to train people, or is she just here to work on the issues that are with the books?
Well, I'll let Greg answer that, but she's here to straighten out the issues with the books, correct the errors. But I think she's been doing a dual role.
It's necessary if mistakes are being consistently made, then training needs to happen to ensure that those don't continue into the future. Otherwise, we'll be continuing to dig ourselves into a hole. So there have been, Jackie estimated that 170 hours that she has spent to 270 hours. She spent approximately 32 hours in actual training.
So can somebody from the state come down and do the training and just have her emphasis on the books themselves?
Well, one thing that we've been told from the state is that they're limited on employees that can come and help. That's the problem. Their answers to solving problems and so forth is being basically answering the phone when you call. Is that pretty much it, Greg? When you have questions, they will take your question and try to solve the problem, but they will not actually be.
They will physically send somebody here typically. The state agencies are working on a skeleton crew and have been for several years because the state has budgetary concerns as well. So their answer often to office holders is 5% be training yourself.
Other employee and training, other calls their bills support of them.
Probably the way most of the employees have been trained is from personal experience working within that office, whichever office it might be.
May I address that? Typically, an office, when an office holder comes into a position, there are existing in the office experienced individuals who can carry on the tasks and perform whatever additional training is necessary. In this particular case, the most senior members of the auditor's office have 2 years experience or less. So we do not have in the auditor's office seasoned, experienced individuals who can answer questions, do cross-training. So that training has to come from an outside source.
Okay. Nolan? Evacuation and emergency plan for the Tipton County Courthouse.
Chuck, Mel, and I working on this with input from John Moses, Fire Chief Ogden, and Kevin Steiner. And we've drawn this up for the courthouse, trying to breach any type of situation that might happen. I look on page 5, talks about a tornado warning. Tells you what to do, where to go. On page 7, we talk about an active shooter. You know, hopefully that never happens, but we've never drilled anything like that in 17 years that I'm aware of in here in the courthouse. But it'd be nice to have a plan so everybody knows what to do and how to do it. And then, of course, for on page 9 is
either a fire or a bomb threat in an evacuation. I didn't include in your packet, but there's so many pages. We have, Chuck did this for us also. For every office, on every floor, an evacuation plan. This was built in their office so that they know if they're supposed to get out, how to get out. That's just is for whoever's there. People that are working in that office or people that are visiting that office, if there's a bomb threat or something, it shows them how to get out of the office, and that would go in each office in the courthouse. We, like I said, I sent this to Chief Alderman and John Moses and Kevin Steiner, and they agree that it looks like a fairly good plan. So, whether you want to take time to read over it and look over it and then vote it into effect, or however you want to do that. I didn't put a signature page on the back because I figured you want to take a look at it a little bit more. So. We'll get rid of all the blank pages and things. That's where we were putting things in and everything.
Well, why don't we just take this under advisement and consider this at our next meeting?
That's what
We can have everything.
I'll tweak everything and get everything the way it should be. But all the information is in there. If you have any questions or anything, give me a call and I'll put that in. But like for the fire and bomb threat, they even took into consideration a secondary device. Rather than going to our parking lot, we got to go over to the Moser parking lot so that it's, tell us there's a bomb at the courthouse to get us out and then go up and car out in the parking lot. So.
Do you recommend having a drill?
I did not recommend that in here, but
The check shaking his head down.
I would hope we would drill it. That's what it's for. So here's our plan now. Here's the drill. And I don't know who would be in charge of doing that, whether emergency management. We find something.
Schools all have drills. I know, I see that you know that certain people are designated to have certain jobs. So
Right.
they need to know that.
Right.
How are all the people, like at school, there's a bell, all the floors?
Well, we're, and I don't know what page it is, I think it's, it says that we don't have, the courthouse does not have a method to alert all of the other offices. No communication thing. And that's a problem that we have to
And
deal
one
with.
suggestion in here was that whatever office, if there's a problem, they push the panic button and then they call another office to alert another office.
That's the best we've got right now. Now, because I don't know whether that came from the sheriff's department or 911, those panic buttons that each office has, and that alerts Chuck, alerts you, 911 center. And each office has one of those. But that's our only way. And like if there's an active shooter on the 3rd floor, unless we hear that gun going off, we're not going to know it.
How would you do that, Chuck? How would you alert everyone here in the courthouse?
At this time, there's no overhead paging system, there's no, any way really to contact each and every office. Instead, word of mouth and going door to door, which probably isn't
That's kind of slow.
the best, yeah.
Can your office text the department heads?
What
Send out
we can do,
just-
if each elected official gave me their cell phone and their carrier, we could definitely do that. Keep in mind though, that if it, like on an active shooter, our first and foremost thing is gonna get law and EMS here, so that text could possibly be delayed because the 2 dispatchers would be extremely busy getting all the traffic here that needs to be done. So I don't know that it's the most effective, but it is a way that we could do it.
Overhead paging would be good. But that usually comes from one office and, but they'd have to go to that office.
But or through a phone,
Phone relay, I don't know how easy that would be.
Call every office at the same time. You do that.
I would have one.
Of course, for an active shooter, our response is that if we know there's an active shooter, we're supposed to lock our doors. If we're on the first floor, pull the blinds and get away from the doors and windows and turn out the lights. That's what we're supposed to do. If, you know, there's an active shooter on the third floor, we stay in our office instead of pounding on the doors telling everybody there's an active shooter. There has to be a way to keep people in that office, but I don't, right now, there's not an easy way to make that happen that we could come up with.
One recommendation that I read about in other instances that actually came in the World Trade Center was each floor had a designated person who was in charge of that floor, and it was their job to, I mean, you have one person in charge of the office, but then you have one person who's in charge of that floor, and it was their job to corral everybody out of those offices and get them at least pointed to safety. So that's, and there's an average of 4 officers per floor. I don't know that there's, that should be it. So the notification, that would probably be the best way to do it for lack of the overhead pay.
We'll see if, we'll have Ray put you on the agenda for next meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Christina? Morning.
Here this morning to give updates on the court cases that we have sent to the lawyer. I'll start with the 2 cases that actually have gone to court. The Max Alvarez case, he lived at 205 West 600 South Atlanta. It was the case where he had the overflowing septic tank of sewage last in, I think, 2010. The case went to court July 16th of 2012, and the court did rule in favor of the health department. The way the agreed order was written, it pretty much means that no one can live in that house, and now there's a court order that no one can live there. And Max Alvarez did state that his intent was to demolish that house. We'll see if he does or not. The next case.
That was in July.
Yeah. Yeah, he went July 16th. It's still up, but I mean, it wasn't up to the court didn't say to demolish it. He just said that was his intent, but nobody can live there. Now, due to the court order. The next case is the Paul Davis case, and this case has been ongoing with the Tipton County Health Department since October of 2009. It's actually one of my first cases that I started working on when I started working here. The court saw this case for the first time March 16th of 2012. So I was on maternity leave, so no one went to court with that one while I was gone. The court gave Mr. Davis 60 days to clean up the property. And at the conclusion of those days, I went out and reviewed the property and saw there had been no change. And so I alerted the attorney, and the case went back to court for a second time, July 31st of 2012. Prosecutor Brooke was not at that court case. He sent one of his other lawyers to come do that hearing. And he requested an additional 30 days to clean up the property. And so the court gave Mr. Davis another 30 days to clean up the property. I was like, really? So I went at the end of those 30 days. It did appear maybe some of the vehicles had been moved around, and I did include pictures. I have colored copies, that those are harder to see, and you want to view the colored copies instead. But the thing that concerned me the most was there was tire tracks on the property, which gave me hope that maybe somebody was working on the property. But one set of those tire tracks led to a brand new pile of tires, which is at the back of the packet. And it's not a huge pile of tires, but it's pretty substantial, and it's probably just going to grow. And so my concern right now is that people are going to see that property as a dumping site, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. It's remained pretty stable for the past 2 years or so, but now I'm afraid it's just, if we don't get this taken care of immediately or as quickly as we can, it's just going to balloon into something really, really bad. And I'm sure you've all heard that West Nile has been a major issue this past year, and tires are a notorious breeding site for the Culex mosquito. I know we're into the fall, and mosquito damage is going to go down. It's not gonna be as big of a health risk, but it will return next summer. And there's also other containers on that property that hold water that can breed the mosquitoes. So that's the health department's main issue, but also the fact that, I mean, the house could be a meth house. Part of the northern part of the building of the house is collapsing. The house is completely open. There's stuff strewn all over inside of it. But at this moment, we're kind of at a standstill because after that second court hearing, there was not a second agreed order filed with the court. And so we only have the first degree order to go off of. And when we were reading that, the only thing that happens to the defendant if he doesn't clean up the property is that he will be in contempt of proceedings. So in contempt of court, which I'm not sure what that would mean for him exactly. But a property that Nolan had the house torn down, I think back in 2006, maybe it was before I got here. I have an example of the agreed order that the lawyer at that time sent, and that agreed order states that the health department can go on the property and tear down the house and get the property cleaned up and then put the cost of that on their taxes. And so I sent a copy of that to the lawyer just to say, hey, this is how I want our agreed orders written in the future, because this one's not, the one for the Paul Davis case is not clear enough on what we can do if he does not agree to clean up the property. But without that agreed order, I'm not sure where we can go from here other than in the third appearance in court, which I think is not what I would prefer to do. I prefer to get somehow clean up that property. What was recommended to me was to see if you guys would authorize County Highway to go clean up the property. They were the ones that cleaned up the last property that Nolan worked with. They were the ones that hauled, I guess, all of the junk off of the property and everything, and then they were responsible for making sure the paperwork and everything was filed appropriately to get reimbursed with the off of the taxes. I didn't know if that would be an appropriate, if you guys saw that as an appropriate way to get the property cleaned up. Because from my understanding, there's no money appropriated in the county for such property cleanup to do, pay it forward and then get reimbursed.
So have you had contact with John Brooks since you?
I haven't had any contact with him since the whole claims issue. We just decided, I'm gonna, because I guess every correspondence I had with him was in regards to these cases. And I thought that they were appropriate, but I guess maybe they were excessive. I'm not exactly sure, but so I have not contacted him again, just.
I don't think they were excessive.
Okay. But I didn't want to, I just wanted to see what your guys' thoughts on it were, to see if we wanted to try to appropriate money to get the property cleaned up, or if we wanted to get County Highway to do it, or if I needed to go back to court a third time and make sure that the lawyer wrote up the agreed order appropriately, so I would hope that would be the very last time we have to go to court for this particular case.
What advice do you give Davis property?
Are you saying that you think that we can just go on the property?
I'm not sure what the legal ramifications. I would have to ask the lawyer on that, or you guys could ask the lawyer, because I don't know the legal byways of everything. Because I called up at the clerk's office to see what we could do without the agreed order. They said it was a legal question, but probably if the judge saw that we went on, like something was done without an agreed order, he might not stand it up. So, back it up.
I think before we go off on our own, I think we've already been involved with John Brooks, asking his advice, and he's been involved from the start. So, in my opinion, that 200 people that weigh in on it, I think you need to pursue his advice
Okay.
and see where we go to. That's some other stuff that I know.
I mean, can maybe just call him and see.
I can definitely do that. I saw that today.
Explain to him that the first one was not what we wanted.
And I wasn't sure, since this was my first time, I didn't know what to look for. And then later Nolan showed me, and I had what was in that last order. And I was like, oh, well, that gives us a lot more power to go on the property and everything. So much prefer now that I know. Okay. So thank you for that advice. I'll contact the other two cases, I have one against Woodrow and Lewis Johnson at 1781 South 600 East in Elwood. We've been working on that case since June of 2011. It was supposed to go to court last year, but it didn't because John Brooks said it fell through the cracks. I think he'd assigned it to another lawyer and it got maybe stuck under a pile of papers and forgotten about. So this summer he had me send another order of abatement, just so that way we have record this year that we had ordered them to clean it up. And we gave them an additional 30 days, and this time there actually was progress. Last year, every time I sent an order, there wasn't any progress on the property. This year there was, so I granted them another 30 days since they had been making efforts to clean it up. And the last time I was out there on September 14th, I went ahead and classified it in compliance because they were working on getting the brush piles off of the property and all of the doors were secure and the windows boarded up on the 3 trailers that were on the property, and the grass has been mowed throughout the summer. So that one has been a success story. I didn't have to go to court for that one. The last case that we had referred to the attorney was from this summer, actually. It was against Greg Harbor and John Stroller at 1888 South 700 East in Elwood. It's where the 2 apartment buildings, there was a bunch of trash on the south one, and I think the north apartment building had burned down. The day after you guys gave me permission to send it to the lawyer, I had a neighbor come in and say, hey, we think that the bank owns this property and not the owners that are on Beacon. And so I called, found out Bayview Loan Service is actually in charge of the property, been in contact with them, finally got a hold of somebody July 27th, and they said the property would be cleaned up in about a week. When I went on September 14th, all the trash was gone. And I've had calls in just to see what their plans are for the burned down structure as well, but that hasn't had to go to court either. Any other questions?
Thank you for the update.
You're welcome. I'll be sure to give you guys more in the future. Hopefully we won't have too many cases that you do for though. That would be much preferable.
Yep.
All right. Have a good day.
Chuck Bell. I just have just real quick. There's an emergency management performance grant that happens every year, and basically what it is that as long as I meet the requirements through line assessments, which have all the classes done, then the state will refund back 50% of the EMA director's pay, as well as assistant director and administrative staff, which we don't have, but I think you guys are aware of that. So all I need are signatures so I can turn that in, and that way, meet the criteria next year, we'll be able to get that reimbursement back again. And I will make copies.
Very well.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
Greg, you want to take care of payroll? You guys want to approve the minutes today since we just got this morning, or would you rather just?
Another table. And it was done at all.
Sorry. Greg said he worked on it the last time, so. Okay. We'll take care of the minutes next week. You got something for me?
That's a, just as the guy to fix plaster and hit so they expected.
Is that including the conference room downstairs and just the 3 doors? Okay.
Is he the only one you contacted? Is he the only guy you had looked at?
So I got him to
Project 58, or 48, excuse me, 48.
We have a motion second on the floor to contract with Pickering to do repair on the plaster at the entrances of the courthouse. Total is estimates $2,500, and we'll pay that out of Project 48. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. We're going to get with him and get him started. Okay. Who's got the answers? Well, we better check and go on. Okay. Payroll?
She paid for it last month, and so this should be effective the first. She just paid for it a month in advance, and then because we pay a month in advance for insurance. So she has to pay for it the month prior to her effective date. So we took it out this last check. So she's perfectly October 1st. So we're actually going to start October 1st. Now we need to do payroll for check date 9/28/12 in the amount of $128,943.90.
We have a motion second on the floor to pay those payroll for September 20th, 2012 in the total $128,943.90. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Claims now, Greg?
Yes, Jane. All right. I have two people covering.
Sure.
Might have, what this contract that we had asked for, it came from John Grove for, Reliance for natural gas supply. John has called the office and is fine with this contract. It's a standard contract.
Okay.
He has no problem with it.
Okay. Well, then we need to vote on that then.
There's a copy here for your government.
I'll move we enter into agreement with the natural gas service that we heard the presentation on a couple of meetings ago regarding our natural gas service on the recommendation of the county attorney.
We have a motion second to enter into an agreement with Pro Lions Energy LLC to purchase our natural gas for the county. Motion second on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
Buyers. With striped lines off the side, I guess.
Say something. Something.
Better, Brenda.
I'll let you know when we start talking.
Discussion.
Transaction confirmation, right?
I'm sure they will. Oh, does it?
No, always not. He was in there measuring.
No, this is just by the door,
We were gonna kind of try them out.
Try 'em out.
See what, how the work was.
The manufacturing one, that Commissioner Parker, Commissioner Perry had stopped in the office, and had a conversation, we had to say, we need your signature. And then there's a Department of Homeland Security that we went ahead and paid, you guys need to know that. And what it is for the certificate for the elevator, and it's for 2 years. Apparently it was never paid for 2011, so this is for 2011.
regulars. So there's money in the account to pay this.
That's right.
I'll make a motion to claim the that security $200,000 for the elevator.
We have a motion second on the floor to pay a claim of $240 for the elevator permit to the Indiana Homeland Security. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
Next one's for the TS house and repay. And they are in the amount of $1,611.32. And all this commission. We would go TDS for about $1,611.32.
We have a motion second on the floor to pay the TDS claim of $1,611.32. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Do you have any other separate? Okay. I've got a question here on the very first on reimbursement to other. What is that? It says office supplies, is that just reimbursement for all that?
I had asked you to take this house bill in.
I've got it flat over here, because I didn't want to talk about it.
Where are we on the total to paying them?
The total amount that we
How much we
paid
paid
them.
them so far?
It would put us up to 38,000 we paid that. And we talked about this at the planning commission meeting yesterday. And on our contract that we signed, there was a commitment for this to be completed in 6 months, which would be July 31st. So they're in breach of contract, and they are now on step 2 out of 5 steps. And once again, the steering committee has not met since April 3rd. We just got an existing conditions report. It has factual errors in it, it has misspellings, and there is still no timeline that they have set forth for completion. And I think we would be very foolish to pay them if we pay this bill, it would put us at 77% of the total. And they they are at step 2 of 5.
Was there a recommendation from the planning commission?
No, I mean, I just told them that we got another bill. But, everyone is disappointed in the lack of deliverables from this company as far as timing. Because on every threshold, they have failed on their timing. They were supposed to deliver the existing conditions report in July, and they didn't. But, you know, what do you want to do about the fact that they are in breach of contract with, they said they haven't approved in 6 months? Well, I just think that it's not prudent to keep paying them. Plus, it's also, they have a 45-day, it says upon receipt of the claim, you have 45 days. So it's not, you know, it's not like it's overdue. That's fine, I just have these on. So you know, I don't know. The other thing is, there's this big push for this comprehensive plan, and everybody wanted it, and 29 people responded. 29 people. So, I'm really disappointed.
I'm disappointed we didn't get a better response.
Well, and part of it is because, you know, we told this company that we didn't think that an internet response was going to work in this county. And they didn't want to do it any other way.
I know they tried to advertise it, newspaper, it's doing out.
Yeah, but some people in this county.
Last time I talked about it, I asked you and Jim both if you guys got on to the response, if you participated. You both said no, but you have to look at it. That's a bunch of it.
I got on the website.
No?
I got on the website.
You did? But you didn't try to survey? Okay.
Either ask everybody that or just me.
All right. I asked you and Jim before. I asked if you have since last Monday there.
Steve, if you will, just come up here and sit down for a minute. The discussion is about the House Seal Levine bill and discussions that you guys had in the planning commission and their performance and so forth. It's in today's docket, okay? Another $6,815.
Well, I'm not sure what's been paid, what hasn't been paid, or what percentage this is in terms of the total
They put it at
contract.
77%. And they're at step 2. And I mentioned to the board, Steve, that they are already in breach of contract with the 6 months. And as you agreed in the meeting Thursday night, they have, as far as their timing, they have failed on every delivery.
Yeah, they haven't made their time frame. That's true.
So it's not due. I mean, it says 45 days, so it's not due. So I recommend that we not pay it because we need to see more from them as far as deliverables.
So what, if we don't pay it today, what's different in 2 weeks from now?
I mean, this process is moving forward. It's, I don't want to be necessarily the defender of House Hill Levine, but in some regards, I think I'm prepared to do that. What's visible at this point is not necessarily representative of their total effort so far. I mean, there's been a lot of work's been done. They have delivered the draft for the existing conditions report, which is a large component of the comprehensive plan.
Would there be merit in asking one of the representatives to be here in our next meeting? Give us an update, is that?
I'd suggest if you want to, I'd get it in writing.
Can you take care of that then? You ask for that and you present it or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
just as information here, here's where we are in the process. Last Thursday's plan commission meeting, it was determined that we were going to have a separate plan commission meeting, at which time Alceo Levine would present the existing conditions report. And then that would be followed up at a subsequent date where we would have community visioning session, which would be really one of the last pieces of community input from a public standpoint. Although there's still going to be plenty of opportunity for public input. Anybody that wants to comment in any format can do so. We're going to have an additional planning commission meeting after that, and possibly more, but there's one planned after that to get the comprehensive plan, which will be developed from the additional input at the visioning session in comprehensive, or I should say, the steering committee opportunities as well as comprehensive plan. And then it goes to the public process. So those are the highlights of the steps that remain. So there's a lot more, and there's been a lot developed at this point. It's really not visible, but it has been developed.
So then you'll give us a report then from them at our next meeting, and then maybe a timeline of how we'll proceed from here.
I've made this statement before, and there's been the timing on this thing has been pushed back for a variety of reasons. Some of which is readiness on their part, some of which has been readiness on my part. Very strongly that the overriding central concern should be getting a good quality product. I'm going to say I'm personally less concerned about the timing than I am about getting a good quality product. I think it's somewhat immaterial in the overall sense of what we're trying to accomplish, whether it's done 6 months after what the original time frame was. I think it's not all that terribly important thing to do with
And to get a good quality product, you have to get the people involved, and so in some way, somehow that has failed, obviously.
Well, there's additional, so far there's been quite an effort so far to get input, to get to the existing conditions report.
No, but it hasn't worked.
Right? You can say it hasn't, maybe it hasn't worked in terms of time limits, but I think.
No, as far as input, 29 people. I mean,
That's in no way represents the total input that's been received from the public. We had a steering committee meeting, we had key person interviews, we had an initial community meeting, then we had the opportunity for input on the survey. So the survey is not the sole input that's been received so far.
I'm sure the survey was a lot of the same people.
I think it's only good business practice to hold off on paying them to get it going.
What we've already decided.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, so it just makes good sense.
This is.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
But I did want to point out to why you guys are talking. Actually, it says 30 days, but it was issued September 1st. So it is in fact due as far as they're concerned, but the contract says correct. I understand. But this is only for August too. This has no September dates. So be expecting another invoice from for September.
Suit you to pull it out, or you want
That's fine. The new total, with that being pulled out, is 137,472.35.
What's the other question that I have? transfer $2,381.55 for insurance all types to our county attorney.
Motion second on the floor to transfer $2,381.55 from insurance all types to the county attorney line. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
We will approve payroll for adopted with 9/24/12 in the amount of $137,472.35.
We have a motion second on the floor to pay the claims today in a total of $137,472.35 for September 24th. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries.
Discussions we had over type of bills and where those monies would come from. The $17,000 bill is for currently author related expense. There's discussion about that. The money that's available right now, large part is from the treasurer now. The treasurer has bills for $7,000 that are paid to allow. Decide where money would be transferred or which lines to pay those bills. Alice has agreed to pay, to allow us to pay a smaller amount, which is $16,550. At one, yeah.
Okay, these invoices were sent on 5/1/12, and then due 7/31/12, that's all. One for $17,874, one for $10,962. They're both due, both due.
Where does that money normally come through your office, Greg?
IT.
IT has,
For your office, like?
yes.
Or they sent overdue notice on August 16th, they sent one on 9/13.
What was the council's suggestion?
They have to be paid. And Sean Lau has called me to know why these bills, we are county commissioners responsible for claims of the county, why these bills have not been paid. And he did agree, as Greg said, see, we had a discounted rate if they had been paid before 9/7/31. He did agree that if we pay him today, he will still go ahead and give us this discounted rate, which is $2,000 off. If they're not paid, we not only have to pay this, but pay late fees.
Where would we get the money? Where do they normally pay for? IT. Budgeted for IT?
Well,
No, that amount, that.
but some of it was, okay? Some of it could have been paid.
There is a, yeah, not the bottom of Kevin Schneider, paying out of IT.
There was $16,550 right here in Treasurer Lau that he didn't pay. Way back ago. No, it's in IT budget. Way back.
So does Bill have room to expect that they would pay part of these?
There is money in there for the $16,550, which is the larger two bills. Ghosting, quite often, that bill is largely for services rendered to the auditor's office. And there are still bills outstanding, the other bills for treasurer bills. So we have $16,550 pay, not for one bill, but not for
Okay, I worked on this weekend because these have to be paid. Out of high-speed internet access, it's a monthly bill. I figured we can get this much out of here. I talked to Chuck Bell, he said we could take that whole amount right there. I'm trying to find nickels. Take all that out of there, because it hasn't been used since it was appropriated in January, never been used. I came up, and I talked to Marla, she said we can take 1,000 out of there, we can take all that, take all that. Anyway, I came up with, out of his budget, we can get $20,715, and we're still short $6. The only place that we have to pay it is either wipe out our insurance all tax lines or pay it out of ag. We have to pay. And he told me that from now to the end of the year, with helping him with settlement and everything, he anticipates another $5,000.
Is this because the money was not budgeted for?
Only because of all the extra help. He told me that they have given Tipton County 4 times the help that they give the other
This is
counties.
loud, that's,
Technical services. We sign contracts with them for, for their regular ones, like, like treasurer allowed, auditor allowed. But then what happened was, on the auditor allowed, Bill took out our Schneider. There was no trying to pay the Schneider jingle posting out of. So there was $7,700 taken out of that one, because when he did budget, he did not put that in a separate account, so those bills have to be paid. So what's done is done. What we need to do today, as commissioners, we need to find $6,000 to pay these bills today, so that we don't have to lose $2,000 and plus late fees.
Just find out about it right now. This is the first I've heard about it. I
Well,
can't do any research now.
It just came up. We didn't know about it because these bills weren't presented to us.
When did you find out about it?
Found out about it at their council meeting. And then I've been talking to Sean Lau about it. So he sent me all this stuff.
A long stretch for use of everything.
But I can use for
I don't
anything.
think that, I don't think it's that, money for that, that's a county expense.
Helen?
What's the Snyder bill for?
The beacon web hosting. for
Is that
GIS.
the GIS?
Shouldn't that come out of necessity?
Right, is that normally paid out of Bill's budget, or is that paid out of the reassessment budget?
That was a question I had. I've not had a chance to research that, but I would think Schneider GIS, well, from what I understand, we were paid in 2011 and 2012, their Schneider bills out of Bill's IT budget. And I'm wondering if that should have been more appropriately taken out of reassessment.
I just remember the council talking about that at one of their meetings.
To find out what is actually what that should be.
If that's the case, then before we act on it, we need time to continue to research.
Except I agree with Jane, we need to take advantage of that discount, so I'm okay with her taking out our insurance for all pipes, and I think find out, so that will be in our account. We gotta ask the council for additional appropriation for the IT. Get that in here.
Helen?
We can't hear back here. Are you talking about transferring from one budget to the other budget? Because you can't do that.
No, we're
No.
just saying that when the bills pay, we'll take it out of one location and take some out of another location.
Okay. I remember Bill at one of the council sessions telling them that there was not enough money appropriated to pay for the allow contracts, auditor and treasurer. And I don't know if that was ever solved or not.
And that's because of the technical services was over.
That's what we're talking about now.
Greg, do you want to ask Linda?
Yeah, and that the Schneider Group,
3,000.
there's a $7,000, or over $7,000 paid for web hosting for Schneider. Is that?
And that doesn't come out of my part of it. It's not. The website part is everybody's. And it comes out of this. The other part is what takes care of our splits and things like that is out of the reassessment. And I can pay for your side too on that part, but the web hosting is everybody's.
It's quarterly, quarterly. But you failed to put it in the budget as a separate thing, and that's why they were taking it out of the auditor line. $9,240 is the contract.
What do you want to do if you lob all these accounts? If you balance this almost $7,000.
So that would take it out to a full-time and all over the county, but I don't know.
I'm better see if we, since we just paid John Brook, I better see if we have that insurance on that. You can just transfer that out. And then I said, there, no, I took treasure out. I took all that out, so I can treasure out $1,600, about $2. Yeah. See, the bills total. See, these are the two bills.
Now, my part of John Brooks comes out of mine. Okay, because I had him to break mine out, completely out.
Those are the accidentals and request for the jail lawyers to sign us council meeting.
Builder?
I know.
So he's already asked for the request basically to replace this money. And how much did he ask for?
He asked for, I think it's an additional $9,000.
Yeah, it broke down, I think it's $9,200 and some dollars is the web hosting, I think. I can bring it over here, I'll look
It's
at it.
9240.
Huh?
9240.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought it was pretty close to that. And that's an annual thing. And they said that showing what the breakdown is, I take the first two and then he takes the last part of it. The web hosting is for everyone. The other part is basically for money.
Yeah, we did that, but that was for
Keeping the splits and things like that.
Linda,
Yes.
in New York, since we're talking about needing money here, in the Pinnabola line, it's budgeted $1,600 and we haven't used anything.
No, and we are, I just hasn't, right now my concern is get this other thing straightened out. We've got 20 days to get that information to John on the litigation with the Nexus. So, I do, yes,
Oh, you do? Okay.
yes, I do. It's just later than what I expected to do it.
Okay, I'm just looking for money.
Yeah. No, if I have some, like I said, I'm not sure how many days or, I've got the stuff together, I just don't have the time right now to, and we haven't had any bills where they had to be involved, but we tried to solve them ourselves, so, but I will be using it, and I know we got all the non-tax parcels, the 136 forms that have to be approved, and they have to go through all things, so it'll probably be 2 or 3 days, I'm not sure exactly how many at that point, so. But I wouldn't want to use it until I made sure everything's covered. So. Is there anything else?
is $757. And I will move that we pay these overdue bills to Lau Associates in the amount of the agreed upon discounted rate of $16,550 for one and $2,150 for the other, taken from the IT budget and $6,000 taken from Commissioner line insurance all types to the balance.
Second. We have a motion second on the floor to pay the Lao claims. One is $16,550, the other is $10,150. And taking money from the IT budget and from insurance all types. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Question I got, the board needs to ask for the additional appropriation back in the IT budget, or do we need to ask for additional?
He had asked for it, but he didn't get it to him until that day, and that's why they didn't act on it.
They only asked for 9,000 or something.
I don't know, I take.
He asked for an additional $7,742 to cover what that requested.
He's already asked for it.
He asked for $9,000.
They didn't set the buffer thing, they didn't act on it, because he didn't get it to
They
him.
just tabled it, so they,
He
they've
didn't
got
get it to him.
advertised for council. So, or else we pay the rent. I do think we need to start to rent. We need to start the process of this.
And we came before them. Anything else?
I don't have anything. So what happened? Are we waiting a while or?
I'll come over and do these transfers.
We're taking money out of the IT budget and out of insurance all types to pay two claims.
Okay, just let me know.
Looks like $16,600, so. Andy? I received a phone call from Rick Hall late Friday concerning this amendment to the economic development agreement with Eon. And so he suggested that you be here to explain why Eon's requesting this. Sure. Of course, Rick emailed all the three commissioners as well. And he was in support of this, so.
Great. Well, thanks for having me here today. The crux of the matter comes down to our depreciation of our assets. As you probably know and will remember from our discussions, the way that utilities are taxed here in Indiana is it's based off of our federal tax return that's been assessed at the state level and dispersed to the counties at general tax rates. In order to ensure the county's continued receipt of property taxes, at the time we negotiated this economic development agreement, we were able and happy to commit to not using a bonus depreciation structure, which would have depreciated our assets faster over a 2-year time frame instead of a 5-year time frame. That was due to the other rules and requirements that come from be utilizing and taking advantage of that bonus depreciation. Rules and requirements which we did not feel were positive for the project, and we didn't need to, we could basically feel comfortable committing not to take the bonus depreciation. Since then, the scene has changed. We're having more interest from tax equity investors, and I can't speak to the specifics, unfortunately, but the ability for us to take bonus depreciation can be a very, very positive for the project as a whole, and especially for some of our potential tax equity investors. Totally separate from any impact that it has on property taxes. So what we're asking for this amendment to do is to allow us to take that bonus depreciation, but then to make the county whole for any potential decrease in property taxes through a pilot payment. Howard County restricted that pilot, those funds to be distributed to within the county under the normal sort of taxing, disbursement, so that there's no way to funnel that money one way or another. It just is completely used as if it had come through the normal property tax receipts. So that's what we're asking for. It's a very small window of difference. The only difference being between, I think, years 2 and 3 or 2, 3, and 4, because of the 30% floor on depreciation that the state has for assessing this property. It's really a small time frame thing, but can really help us, make this project happen and make potentially future projects, or make this project more attractive to other investors, and to make future projects more attractive as well. So, as I mentioned, it was something that Howard County had already put in place. You know that Rick Hall had already seen and approved it. Grant County has since passed the amendment at both its commissioners and council level. So it's a pretty straightforward thing that we're asking for, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Rick's comment was that it's revenue neutral
Exactly.
to the county. It really makes no
Exactly.
difference, and so he said he was comfortable with it.
Right. Yep. That was the intent, just to make it revenue neutral.
When do you anticipate making the second payment?
Fairly quickly, or fairly soon. I think the anniversary was triggered when we poured our first foundation. We paid it a little bit early last year, I believe, in October.
Mid-November.
It was mid-November, so probably about the same time frame. Our first foundation was poured at the end of November, so we of course want to make it prior to that time.
This agreement has a line that references that, says it anticipates making the second payment to the county on or about, and it has a line there.
A blank, yeah, I would November 15th or November 12th.
Greg, do you have a resolution number for us?
No, it's more like,
The resolutions are different from the ordinances.
right, it's
So I
more
don't
like,
think we have any, I don't think we've done resolutions this year. I'm not sure that we had any this year of resolutions. I don't think we've had one this year.
Resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Tipton County, Indiana, approving an amendment to an economic development agreement with Wildcat Wind Farm 1 LLC and certain other matters in connection therewith. Whereas Tipton County, Indiana, and Wildcat Wind Farm 1 LLC entered into an economic development agreement dated as of May 23, 2011. Whereas the Board of Commissioners of the county has been presented with First Amendment to the Economic Development Agreement, which makes certain amendments to the original agreement. And whereas the board desires to approve the execution of the First Amendment, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Tipton County, Indiana, that the board hereby finds that the execution and delivery of the First Amendment are in the best interest of the county and its citizens. The board is authorized and directed to execute the First Amendment in the name hereby authorized and directed to attest to the execution of such agreement with such changes and modifications of such persons deemed necessary or appropriate. Said persons' execution thereof to be exclusive evidence of the approval of such changes. The members of the board, the county council, the auditor of the county, the legal counsel of the county, and other appropriate officers of the county are hereby authorized to take all such actions and execute all such instruments as are necessary and desirable to effectuate this resolution. This resolution shall be in full force and effective from and after this adoption. Duly adopted this 24th day of September 2012 by the Board of Commissioners. Refer this First Amendment to Economic Development Agreement. First Amendment to the Economic Development Agreement dated May 23rd, 2011 was made and entered into as of this day, 2012 by and between Tipton County, Wind Farm LLC, Delaware Limited Liability Company qualified to do business in Indiana. The county and the company may be referenced herein individually as a party and debtors parties, whereas the parties entered into an economic development agreement dated May 23rd, 2011 regarding the development of the project by company in Tipton County, whereas the terms defined herein shall have the same meaning as set forth in the agreement, whereas the company has begun construction of the project in the county and has made the first economic development payment and anticipates making second economic development payment to the county on or about November. The actual date.
November 15th.
Sure, let's call it November 15th. Yep. Try to keep that.
November 15th, 2012, and believes it to be in compliance with all terms and provisions of the agreement, whereas the company desires to provide flexibility to investors in the project and accordingly requests an amendment to the agreement as set forth herein, whereas the company and the county believe that this amendment is in the best interest of both parties and agree to enter into this first amendment as follows. Section 3.05 shall be amended by adding the following paragraph at the end of such section 3.05. Notwithstanding the above company may, in its sole discretion, choose to elect bonus depreciation on the wind turbines. In the event the company chooses to elect bonus depreciation for any given tax year, it shall provide the county advance written notice thereof, together with a calculation with respect to such tax year of the difference between the anticipated property tax liability prior to such election for bonus depreciation and such property tax liability with bonus depreciation. Based on such calculation, the company shall set out in such notice its intention to make the pilot payment comprising the bonus calculation. If the county objects to the bonus calculation, it shall provide written notice thereof to the company within 30 days to receive such notice. And hereby, the parties shall meet to determine an appropriate pilot payment considering then current tax rates and other pertinent factors. The pilot payment will be made by company at or before the time that the company will receive the benefit of any tax payments resulting from turbines for which bonus depreciation was elected. The auditor shall distribute all pilot payments made under this section to the applicable taxing units in the same proportion as the normal tax payments as distributed. Notice thereof, wherefore each party hereto has caused its duly authorized representative to sign this agreement on its behalf as of the date first set forth.
I move we approve the First Amendment to the Economic Development Agreement and Resolution number 2012-01 to be verified as such. A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Tipton County, Indiana, approving the amendment to the Economic Development Agreement with Wildcat Wind Farm L1 LLC and certain other matters in connection therewith.
Second. We have a motion and a second on the floor to adopt resolution 2012-01 and to grant approval to the First Amendment to the Economic Development Agreement with Wildcat Wind Farm LLC. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
They're going very well. We are,
Opportunity for you to give us an update.
yeah, in fact, I meant to do that when I first got here, but kind of got right down to business. Things are progressing well. I believe we have, as of yesterday, 11 turbines fully erected and in the air. None of them are spinning yet. We're waiting to complete one full circuit of turbines before we turn that circuit on and begin some of the testing of all the connections and all the components. Then we'll shut that down and sort of stage through all the circuits as each of them can come online. We recently brought on a second of the main erection cranes, the big top-off cranes, to ensure that we're not, hamstrung by lack of equipment on site to get the project done by the end of the year. We've had some slight delivery delays that have sort of dragged the real start of the project of actually erecting turbines a little later than we anticipated. But with the second main erection crane as well as the third that we bring on site at some point, we should have no problem getting the project substantially complete and commercially online by the end of the year. We probably will not be doing any road restoration this year just due to weather and temperature concerns, so all the road restoration resurfacing will commence next spring once things have warmed up a little bit and we can effectively apply the final surface oil and chip or asphalt resurfacing of all the county roads. But all the foundations are in, all the access roads are in. I believe at this point close to 80 to 85% of the buried lines have been installed. Our operations and maintenance building is progressing pretty well. We've poured the foundations. I believe all the foundations have been poured. We'll be working on the superstructure in the near future, and that'll be completed about mid-December or so.
When can we expect payment for the underground cables,
The per foot payment, I believe that I'll have to check the agreement as to when that's due and payable. For our contract with the landowners, that begins, the start date is when all the turbines are online and generating electricity. I'm not sure if we tied that in with our agreement or not, but that would be around the 1st of next year. So I think we have a total of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, I think about 1.5 miles of underground cables that we actually ended up installing in the county right away. So approximately 7,500.
Tell us about your new project too. West side of
Oh,
town.
sure, yes. Haven't had the chance to address this in a public forum yet, but EON did recently purchase the AES project over on the west side of the county. That includes 16,000 acres worth of leases, as well as Met Towers and various other things that sort of go along with the project. So we're very excited. That'll help fill in the rest of the development plans that we have for Tipton County. And I will not be the lead developer for that project. It'll be a gentleman by the name of Matt McCluskey, who's worked for the company about as long as I have. He just finished up a project down in Texas, a 200 megawatt project down in Texas that just completed construction. So he, along with Bob Zahn, who many of you may know as a local Tipton County resident, will sort of be championing the AES project, still called sort of West Tipton Wind, forward. And hopefully that can be under construction as soon as 2014 or so. So that was very exciting. I know there's a lot of landowners over there who were really excited about having the wind project built, and AES just at that point was not in a very good position to keep that project moving. So we feel that we have a good plan to make that project happen, and we're happy to acquire those leases and push the project forward.
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, everybody.
Greg, do you have copies of this, or do you need ours so we can sign it?
I
The rest of it.
I don't have a copy of that.
You need a copy of this. Sign it.
If it makes sense, I can take it now and have ours sign it.
There's one here.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
we need your signature right here.
I'm unfortunately not authorized to sign that.
Okay.
So we'll have Paul Bowman, our senior vice president, who might think on that, sign that.
Linda? Linda,
Yes,
did you have something?
yes, I did. I represent the Tipton County side, the south end of town. I came out on Town Marshall and 8th Avenue, came in to get their county line road blocked off. Well, they did not comply to our agreement, and I had to call Jane, and bless her heart, she got it straightened out, and I just want to come in and tell her thank you, because they did not apply to what we agreed to here. I just want to come in and personally thank Jane, because I called her, and she got it straightened out for us.
Well, I just made a couple phone calls and they took care of it, so it's fine.
Right.
So I'm glad it all worked out.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's take about a 5-minute break.
One time, cut down on some of the stairs. You don't go into your elevator there. I see doing 80 complaints, what has to be done to keep us from getting on the bus. And number two, because you have 20 minutes, then two, the work, inside and outside beautification. You start tearing this thing down, and you don't, you're going to get it right.
Call our meeting back to order.
Debate about
Greg, on that EOC agenda,
The ordinance number, there's a scrivener's error. It's 2012 over 2012. So that's not just the number of the ordinance.
I looked back and I couldn't find.
09 is the weight limit or the zoning for
That was right, that was his 08. I looked back at my notes and that was 08. I can come back and,
Well, we ought to have a motion to correction. You know, we better make sure we're right.
it's even in our minutes, it was 08. Because I couldn't figure out what you were talking about, so I went back and looked on all the ordinances.
Let's just take it. Double check that and we'll take care of that next meeting. Put that back on there and we'll make sure that we're right with those numbers. Do we have anything we need to do with the coroner's bond?
Yes,
Is that what you have there?
I need signatures to allow a amendment to the coroner's bond, changing the name from Philip Nichols to Robert Nichols.
No money, just to change.
It's just an amendment to the existing bond.
Yeah.
And so I just need approval.
Do we need a motion to amend it?
I think I have to do that.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move that we amend the coroner's bond from Philip B. Nichols to Robert L. Nichols.
Okay, we have a motion second then to amend the name on the coroner's bond. All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Guess you're already there, aren't you?
I'm already here. As you guys are aware, we did a presentation with the council last week on the master plan. And we tried to speed it up, but it had a fairly lengthy meeting anyway. A lot of good questions, a lot of interest about some of the details of what we were looking at on really both facilities. And at the end of the day, I think they share your sentiment about taking to the public and let the public have opportunity to hear everything again and have an opportunity for input. And I believe that vote, they had a vote of confidence to do that and bring it back to you guys and see what you guys want to do with that. And I believe that was a 7-0 vote. I'm not sure. So their desire is the same as yours. Just go see what some meetings and see what the public's got to say about it. We talked in length about about that after the meeting, and we have thought about having a meeting at Tri-Central High School and also at the foundation building here in town. There was a suggestion from the council, which I think is probably a pretty good suggestion. One being during the day, one being the evening, to give everybody an opportunity to get somewhere to hear what we got to say. That presentation would consist of basically what you guys have already heard, what you've already seen, and an opportunity for everybody to have a chance to chime in so that there's good coverage. We would advertise those meetings if you guys want to go forward with them in both papers. We would talk to WWKI and try to get on the radio. We would also contact the local chamber, let them get that on their website and try to get the word out however we can. Any suggestions to add to that. But the intent is to give much information out there in enough different directions that people have an opportunity to know what's coming down and get an opportunity to get to it. We've also been working on and almost have finished we're trying to get this in the front and back of the page, a quick summary of both projects. So that those are a handout you guys can have and something we can give to the press that they can do with as they need to do with it. But it makes an informational piece that people can have. And so that's kind of our plan. If you guys want to continue with that. Also, our intent is to get these meetings scheduled sooner rather than later, try to get them done here in the next couple of weeks.
Where's my, what's this going to cost us?
Oh, good question. We're doing this as part of the community awareness piece of the contract we already have in place, and we do that at no cost.
Well, at our last meeting, I told you that I would try to get a hold of Representative Turner, and I made 2 attempts to do that. My last message that I left with him was his legislative assistant on Wednesday. He's not called. I have talked to Senator Buck. Also talked to Rick Hall, because you guys had mentioned that we would need legal assistance. And I talked to Rick. Rick said it would not be him, it would be one of their lobbyists. And so I asked Rick what the cost would be on that. And he said if we start down that process, it's $5,000 up front. Once he starts working on our behalf, the state legislator meets with you or whatever, that would be a $5,000 upfront fee. Then if they saw it all the way through the legislature, it would be another $20,000. There's $25,000, so we want to make sure that, I was concerned if we're letting the cart before the horse. So before we commit ourselves to additional costs, we need to make sure that this is what we're going to do.
I know what the people think.
And I've already heard from some of the older people that are on fixed incomes, and they're not in favor of it because they're concerned about tax increases that they can't pay. Have a pretty good project, 2831, that's setting there basically dragging the county. So that's another concern moving forward. There's 1 of 3 votes here. So.
Well, I think if you're willing to do this at no cost, we have nothing to lose then if you're to see what the people, hear what the people think.
Yeah, well, part of our contract, the original was to assist with community awareness. So it's part of what we've already agreed to do. We've already, of course, we've already had, several meetings already, so.
I mean, I think you've been there a lot.
Yeah, so, but doesn't get done in one or two discussions this way.
I think public works, definitely what we need, we need to go back and help us, not going to cost us, we're arguing about money every week, doesn't go cost us nothing. That's great.
Yeah, until you guys decide go or no go, it's no cost.
That's $25,000 cost right now.
Barnes and Noble not the rule.
Well, and if it's a go, nobody else is either, but let's find out whether it's a go or a no go first.
Well, in our last meeting though, the urgency was brought up that, hey, we need to meet the state legislator, we need to get this going. Well, hey, let's kind of hold back a little bit because there are costs associated with that if we go that route. And,
We share the need with you, the feeling of the need for you to get a solid ground from input of the people that are willing to come and speak and talk about it. And we want to be sure and give them ample opportunity to do that.
No cost associated with a chance for them to present it to the public. No cost.
I'm not sure how your daytime meeting get attended though. I'm more concerned about that.
And that's really kind of it came from the council more, but, and really, it's totally up to you guys how you want to handle that. Evening meetings, people will say, well, I didn't get a chance to come because I was working. Working evenings or whatever, but you're running the same thing during the daytime as well. What we tried to do was target a place here in town, which is the south half, and a place in the north half, and make it as easy and accessible as we possibly could, and get as much information out as we can about we're going to do this, and so come and hear what we're doing and have an opportunity to get your input.
you say you agree that it shouldn't be
I agree. I think you need to define that. I don't see where you need to go out in the county. People want to hear that. Have one information reading, but need to be another schedule.
I'm more than happy to schedule two and do one north, one south, and because we're going to be talking about, we don't have to do anything more than just schedule the meeting and show up and talk about what we already know, and then listen to what they've got to say. And so you got a couple different cultures. You've got a rural culture and an urban culture that I think is both important to have. We have no problem doing that whatsoever.
I might have mentioned that, I think you don't want to go ahead and try to rule out the people, like you said, that are being active, because the way that the Senate will be on the loan is mostly against working people. If you take a good look at what these guys are presenting. So the person that's retired probably wouldn't even affect them on their taxes, period. If you look at the procedure that they were talking about, it'll definitely come out of the people that are working. It'll come out of that fund that we haven't tapped into yet, that other counties, like say for instance, if you worked at Chrysler, that county up there took the taxes and we're able to have it. Once we buy into a program, all that tax money will come to us. And then of course we can either tax another 0.25% or whatever on the tax earners, not the retired people. And they can pick up the whole note. And that's a big part of it. So you don't want to say, hey, guys, you're retired, I know you don't have the income, blah, blah, blah. We don't, it's going to be a big burden on you because it's not money.
Well, the illustrative income tax schedule that Gary Malone prepared basically is $400 increased income tax per $50,000 of income.
If they do it go that way, there's two or three ways they can wipe
And
it
then
out.
on the illustrative property tax increases, if you have a home worth $150,000, you're going to pay $126 more per year. If you have a business, for every $100,000 in your business, it's $193. Agriculture would be $3.15 per acre. So I went through this scenario with a person the other day, and it was a $3,000 a year increase to that.
Big
They
problem.
would be paying for the jail. And
Property tax. It was property tax.
If they do property tax, they don't have to do
Gary Malone had, he had mentioned that it could be a combination of property taxes and income.
They don't have to, depends on which way you go.
Well, either way, you're paying it.
Everyone I've talked to said they would only support it if it was on straight income.
That's
If it's on
right.
income tax, because
That's
it's the only fair
right.
tax.
There's a difference. Thank you.
But, if we proceed with the meetings, I think another important component of those meetings should be actually research, share the information on the size of the jail. Because right now, we just threw out 100 bed. Okay, we need to define that and discuss that. Well, 75 a better pick than 100. What's the rationale there?
We've already done it internally.
Yeah, I know.
We'll do
I
that.
assumed you probably did.
We'll do that.
But we haven't done that in meetings.
One of the other issues that came up on the courthouse is the leaking issue and taking care of the leaks and stone and so forth at their last meeting. And we'll have more information to address about that process that we would be including as part of the design.
Yeah, the idea is to confirm what the problem really is. And I know the drain's going to be routed. Are they working before we go address the exterior moisture? We want to make sure that everything's working right. A couple, 3 ways we will go about that. Video taping the lines to see if they're open. And Mike's got some ideas about thermal imaging to see where the moisture really is inside the walls as opposed to just what's coming out. So there needs to be investigated before you just go start. As I say, willy-nilly, it's just fixing something that you don't know.
Right, it's that infrared thermal imaging that I've used on federal projects as well as other smaller commercial projects that is very revealing. It helps to really pinpoint right where the problem is.
And that's why I said, that's part of the price of what we are projecting the cost of the project.
So are you thinking one meeting next week and then one meeting the next week after that?
I'm thinking, or maybe 2 next week. I didn't want to schedule those. I do have the information that you sent about contact. I didn't really want to contact him and set those up until I know exactly what you guys are doing. But I'm thinking that get this done the next couple of weeks.
I think whatever decided should be decided by motion.
Well, it has to be, the only way that we're going to be sure that people have an opportunity is if the word is spread. And I hope that the Tribune will do a blast article about it. It's going to be a huge impact on everybody.
We'll help provide both all news outlets, the basic information about all that. And actually make one of the things we want to do with this summarization is make it available to them that they can talk about them as much as they want to talk about it. So make it as brief as we can. We're thinking of front and back.
Where do you think you'll have it the first meeting?
What's that?
Where are you gonna have the first meeting?
Well, I really don't have I don't really care which one's first. Just contact and see who's got available when they're available. And unless you have a preference.
Where did you say you were?
We're talking about the foundation building here in town, and then Tri-Central High School, their auditorium.
We have a motion for PMSI on QAA with the direction that they need.
I'll move that we allow them to proceed with the community meetings to develop an awareness in the community for a proposal that they've been working on for jail and courthouse study at no cost to the county.
We have a motion second to allow PMSI and RQAW to move forward with public meetings at no cost to the county. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
The only thing I would add to that is Architectura and Humboldt.
Oh, I'm sorry, your team.
Our team, PMSI team. That's okay. We've got everything we need to get going with it.
Add that to the language of the motion if you guys so. Anything else?
No, we'll get right on that and report back. I'll send you emails, let you know how we're coming along. So, all right, thank you much.
Any other questions from the audience? Okay, Bob. Bob?
Did we ever determine what went wrong with the part-time custodian budget and who's in charge of keeping track of it?
We are supposed to keep track of it.
He was working too many hours, and his pay had been increased above what it was supposed to be, so he was making more per hour and working more hours. Well, that's why he burnt through the budget in a shorter period of time.
So why was that allowed to happen?
I don't know, we didn't realize, first of all, I didn't realize he had a pay increase.
No one did. It was entered in by the payroll clerk with no one.
We can't give you an extra, we don't know how it happened. It was our responsibility.
Was there some mechanism this doesn't happen again or not?
Well, there should be.
There is or not?
Well, we worked on it today, so yeah, we corrected the problem. So. Any other questions?
Well, I think we do need to make a decision in this meeting, and we'll think about what we're going to do today.
I'm going to go and wait.
Need to speak up, please.
Okay.
Hey, I don't recall this.
Hey, I gotta listen to this.
You didn't shut the door. What?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we set the part-time courthouse help at 9:51.
And we're going to talk about how many hours or
How many hours?
just filling in for the,
Just the rest of this year to see who will fill in
just when it's on
when
vacation.
Ann's on vacation.
And that's going to fill us up out.
That's it, except that.
So,
Okay, we have a motion second on the floor to set our part-time pay rate for the rest of the year at $9.50 per hour and approach the employee, see if he will fill in for Ann Cox while she's on vacation. Have a motion second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
and then I'll also move that we approach again and talk to her about possibly redoing her time or her work schedule to accommodate being in the courthouse more during business hours. Maybe talk about a 6 to 3 work schedule instead of 5 to 2.
You talked about it, you talked about it.
I think we need to discuss it with her so that there's more time in the courthouse instead of this, her time card showing that she's out for.
I'm okay to discuss it. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion second on the floor then to ask the custodian and Cox to discuss with the commissioners about a change of her work schedule. 6 will be redeemed. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries. Anything else? Bob?
On the law bills, is there some mechanism to prevent that from happening again since we got the bill in May? And where's the bill date?
Where's the bill? I have no idea. You'll have to ask for it. I don't know. The bills don't come to me, so I don't know where they are. I was supposed to go in office. But as far as changing the mechanism to take care of that, I think that happened before it hit the bill.
The bill came in May, did it?
Work it already out. When the bill came.
I understand the work was done, but was anybody interested in the bill money, or why wasn't it presented?
Well, I think
But
that,
actually, it cost us $2,000 this year.
I mean, that is a concern, and I was concerned that it wasn't on this claim sheet either.
I got a question. We're going to go ahead now and we've approved another $20,000 to take care of the audit area and whatever. And I understand that's not even an insurance that will get all of the problems complete and get the ledger up to date and all the rest of the stuff. Is this going to be an ongoing thing? I know Jane mentioned go as much as $50,000 additional dollars. I mean, what are we going to do? What are we going to stop this thing and say, here, give him another man or another person to work with or whatever that he's asking for, and try to get the thing resolved in their own office? When are we going to turn that over to them?
I will not vote for a new addition or pay her anymore until the county council recommends and appropriates the money.
Yeah, but we're still taking the tax dollars. I know what you're saying. You're not taking the responsibility, you're giving it to them. And that doesn't
I'm not
solve the
giving
problem.
them, Jim, I'm not giving them responsibility. They showed how they want to work with us and will not appropriate the first.
But how do you want to work with it? It comes to you first. It's your responsibility.
And I told them, if they appropriate the money, then I will vote with them.
If they keep on appropriating money, we'll keep on doing it.
They're in charge of the money. If they want to spend it for that, okay.
Hiring an extra person, is not to solve the problem, Greg.
I think if you,
Greg, would
let
you
me ask
agree with
Greg,
that?
if you got an extra person, Greg, that works strictly on the old books, would it work for you?
Only if that other person had knowledge, like
Well,
Judge Clemens, to make the appropriate corrections.
Would that,
So
Linda, that
it's-
was,
I can't see that.
would that Linda that was fired, would she have the ability to do it again if you hired her back?
I have no.
Well, okay, that's what I'm saying.
experience with
We
it.
don't know.
I have no knowledge.
And there's other people out there that have, and held that job before they might want it. I don't know, you know.
Motion adjourned. We have a motion, we have a second. Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
What did they do with Spike? They agreed to them to do. Let's talk later, Ken. I said, let's talk later.
Hey, you tell little brother from now on, he better turn it on and check it out, not just